Welcome to the next video in our Getting Started series. My name is Fletcher with DJ Event Planner, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through the general application settings. This is going to be a quick overview. We won't dive too deep into those settings in this video, but I'm going to show you where things are so that way you can find them when you need to make changes. So to get started, of course, you're going to log into your DJ Event Planner account, and once logged in, you're going to click on Setup here on the left menu, and then click on Application. Again, this is where you're going to find all of your general application settings. So starting here at the top under General, we can set our time zone, set our currency format, mileage or kilometers for our mileage wording. For the browser settings, autocomplete, if we want to have that on, what that does, if you have it enabled, any autocomplete settings that are stored in your browser will run when you type into fields inside of DJEP. If you have it disabled, then it won't. I personally prefer to keep it off. Inbox messages, you could choose the top navigation bar inbox counter. Whether you see it or not, it'll tell you how many new messages you have in your DJ Event Planner inbox. For event-based templates, this is something you'll need to know later on, but you can set a default event ID here that will be used when you preview email templates and document templates. So if you have a test event that has a lot of items in it with information and you want to be able to see what your templates are going to look like based upon that event, you can put that event ID into that box, and that will be the event that will be used when you preview any document or email templates. And then lastly, Master Administrator landing page. I mentioned on the last video that you could choose what page you go to when you first log in. Here's where you can change that. By default, it's set to the calendar. You can choose either dashboard as well if you create a custom dashboard, or you can be taken directly to your events list. Next, underneath application, you'll find booking helpers. Now these we're not going to dig into very deep in this video. We have a ton of videos and we'll have specific videos just on booking helpers. But booking helpers are very, very powerful. They are macro commands that will perform multiple functions with the push of one button, allowing you to complete multiple tasks at once, which is a huge, huge time saver. Can be used great for getting a lot of things done quickly or to enhance your automation throughout the system. Next, you'll find link to the dashboard configuration as well. Here's where you can build out your dashboard. We're not going to dive too deep into here either because we have videos about the dashboard as well. The next one is Calendar Company. This is for your company-wide settings, and any changes made here, as it says, will affect all employee calendars. So here you can choose what events will be visible in the monthly calendar based upon status, as well as what events will be visible in the day panel, which is on the right, based upon the event status. And then you could choose a few personal things as well. When you click on a date on the calendar, does it take you to the date on the calendar to add a new event page to that date or view the daily event list for that date? Choose whether you want to display time off on the calendar, display events with the next actions for the active date. I like this one a lot. I like to also see them on my calendar as well. And then lastly, display to-do items. Do you want to be able to see your list of to-do items on your day panel menu? If you don't use to-do items, then you can uncheck this, and that way you won't see any. The next one in the menu is Calendar Employee. So now this is going to be the individual employee calendar settings. So for if you're logged in as a master administrator, this would be for you. Changes that you make here will not affect other employees' calendars. And we're going to go through the calendar settings in a specific another video, so we won't dig in too deep into this. The next one is going to be the event list. This is, again, the list that you can see all of your upcoming events, and that can be found underneath main menu, events list, or by clicking this icon here at the top. And what it'll do is it'll show all of your upcoming events. It's a quick way to see what you have coming up. But again, underneath setup, application, and event list, you can choose what fields are visible in that event list. So you can customize this to your own personal needs as well. You can also choose the status color. Is it visible just on the event status or the entire row, which will allow you to quickly at a glance have a visual representation of where you're at with your events upcoming. You can choose the font size for the event list on desktop as well as what it'll be on mobile devices. And last but not least, you can also set default sort order every time you load the event list. So you can choose one of the fields that are included. Obviously, if you're sorting based upon a field, ideally you want to have that included in your event list. And you choose whether it's ascending or descending. Next up, we're going to look at event status underneath application. This is an extremely important step, And we'll discuss event status a little bit deeper in another video regarding automation, but the event statuses are the outline to your workflow. So when you're thinking about your event statuses, you want to think about your workflow or the process that you take clients through from first contact to post-event follow-up and assign each step a status. And then from there you can decide what happens in between those statuses, and we'll dive into that deeper in another video. This status list can be edited by clicking the Edit Status List button. Here you can add or delete any statuses you don't want or you want to add and completely customize it for your business needs. Here on the right-hand side as well are additional custom items. You can have multiple statuses that are considered a booked event status. These are used in financial calculations and availability checking. You can choose what statuses are considered lost sale, as well as pending. And then a few more advanced options down here for specific leads, equipment list status options, event prep status options, financials event status options, employee availability event status options, and payroll event status options. So this is definitely a page that you want to come to and visit, and make sure you go through these because it'll make setting up the rest of your account a little bit easier. The next one is also integral into automation, and that is event types. Automation is based upon event types as well, and a couple other different system settings in here can be based upon event type. Most importantly for me, this is about housekeeping. Make sure that your event types are only the event types that you service. Event types are meant to be broad. Again, I'm going to say that again. Event types are meant to be broad. You do not want to put specific event types in here for one type of event, because the more event types you have and the larger the list gets, the more it can potentially slow down your system. So when you're putting in event types, you want to keep them broad. For example, as it says in here, bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah. You could make that just mitzvah, birthday party, wedding, etc. You don't need to have Paul's 60th birthday party as an event type. Just call it a birthday party. That'll make organization and automation on your back end a lot easier to manage as well. The next underneath application is going to be event form. And I'm not going to dig too deep into this as well because we're going to have a video specifically on event forms coming up. But this here is the defaults for when you add an event into the system, as well as the options for when you edit an event. So underneath the default options, you could choose what is automatically entered into certain fields for certain items when you add a new event. You also have your employee settings. You can build out your employee role filters if you have employee roles, and a few other different settings, financials, layout options, and validation. Again, we'll go through that later in another video. Next up is client settings underneath application. There are a few settings in here that you can change when you add a client to the system. When you're viewing the clients, you can choose, are they ordered by first name, last name, or last name first? Client portal username, by default, it's set to use the client's email address. If you do not want to use the client's email address, you can use the standard naming convention, which is the letter C followed by their client ID number. However, I do encourage you to use and keep it on the client email address because clients are hopefully going to always remember their email address. You don't want them to have to remember a different username for your client portal. And then last on this page, report edit page layout options. You could choose when you're viewing a client or editing a client, how is the data laid out? Is it laid out as tabs or is it on one page? Those tabs are the same that you'll see when you're adding or editing an event. If we go to a client, we click on full view here. These are the tabs. If we click on view one page, you'll scroll down to see the different data. So again, that's really personal preference for you of what you want to be able to see when you go to a client record. Next, under settings, set up an application, you're going to find employee settings as well. We'll have another video specifically on this because there's a lot of items in here. But this is where you can set up what features are available to employees, what kind of permissions they have, when can they access events, what events can they see, etc. Underneath employment setting or employee settings, we're going to find payments. Here you get to set up your default payment methods that will be available when you go to add in a payment to an event. In the drop-down, you can also add expense methods here if you'd like from that button, which will jump you to that setting. You could choose to autofill a specific amount when you're adding a payment to an event. So if no payments have been made, you can have it autofill the retainer amount or another balance or another amount from the event. If at least one payment has been made, you can choose, again, either retainer fee, calculated balance due, or the total fee, or you can disable that altogether. And then the bottom two, reasons for payment. This would just be the description in the payment field of what was this payment for. And then finally at the bottom we have pre-fill the reason for payment field with this value based on the number of payments that have been made. This is if you want to do something custom. If no payments have been made, the reason you can have filled is retainer, for example. One payment you could have it pre-filled with balance, etc. But that's really if you have something different than what's available up here. Next up is expenses settings. This is just the ability to add new expense options from payment method, payee, or payment category. You select which one it is, enter that title. So for example, payment method, you could put in Visa, MasterCard, whatever it may be, and that'll be added as a expense option when you're going to add an expense into the system. Next is going to be custom fields. We'll have another video that may touch on custom fields a little bit further in detail, but these provide you the ability to add additional information to these different sections inside of the software. Yet another way to customize DJ Event Planner to work for your needs. You can create custom fields for event-based, client-based, employee-based, venue, vendors, company, as well as for payments. Moving along, next underneath Setup Application, you'll find alerts. There's 5 custom alerts that you can create based upon specific information. You can also set your maximum number of events here as well. There's 2 other spots that you can change this setting. One is from underneath Website Tools and Check Availability, and the other is available from the calendar, Check Availability, and change settings. So for the alerts, you can set an alert to get triggered based upon the status, the package that's assigned to an event, add-ons, maximum number of events, message to show, background color, text color, and then the preview will show you what it is. So this is only going to appear to you. It's not going to appear to clients. It's just on the system side. And if the alert is triggered, it'll appear on the calendar above the date that you're on. So if you select the date and the alert is triggered for that date, it'll appear there. I should say on top of the day panel. And then when you're viewing an event on that date, the alert will appear above that event. So an example of where you may use this, let's say, for example, you only have 3 photo booths and you want to be reminded about that. You would set your event statuses for whatever you would consider booked or potentially booked or pending. So, contract sent, contract pending, booked, whatever statuses you use for that. And if let's say the photo booth is an add-on only, go to only selected add-ons, select your photo booth, put in 3 number of events, and you could put no more photo booths available, etc. And in the background color will be the background of the menu of the bar, and the text color will be the text inside of that. Moving on, next up is another access to web links. This is just an ability to edit the web links you have. You can also add some new ones here. Again, web links are a way to quickly link to external URL, or you can bookmark pages within DJ Event Planner as well to get to specific sections pretty quickly if you want. And the final 2 we got here at the bottom, tooltips. This is for internal use only. This is very, very helpful if you have a field in the system that requires additional information. Let's say, for example, your employees, when they're adding events, you want to make sure that they know what organization means. So if you click on here, you can put this or whatever you want it to be. Let's say enter full names of wedding couples or company name. And now when you have that, it'll appear as a pop-up next to that field. So when they're going to add an event to the system or editing an event, here you'll see that little info icon, and when you click on it, it'll pop up whatever message you put in there. So you can put specific information in there that you want as reminders for you or for employees that are adding or editing events. And then last but not least, underneath Setup Application, you'll find Appearance. In here, you can change the navigation color. So you have your top navigation color and your left navigation color. So the top is this blue bar here, and the navigation color is the menu, the left menu colors. If you want to change them back, you can always click on Reset to Default Colors, and they'll change them to these default colors here. But if you want to match your business branding, you can do that as well. Underneath Layout, you really don't want to change this. This is only in place for old users who are still using deprecated view of the system. You want to keep these at default view. Tab naming and orders. So this is another spot as we were in the client section where we could order and change the client tabs. Here we can do that it's a link to change those client tabs as well as the event tabs. That'll allow you to change the titles of tabs if you want to make it something more meaningful to you, as well as you could change the order of the tabs if you'd like to have them in a different order. Next up is the section header font styling. So this blue bar right here with this word, that's considered a section header. So on the report page and then edit page. So the report page, you can choose the font size as well as the font weight. And this is going to be the section header on the edit event page. And then when we're viewing an event, it'll be the section header color here. So you can change the font size and the font weight there, as well as further down in appearance settings, we can have specific colors for those headers for different sections throughout the system. So again, if you want to color code the system or match it to your business branding, you can do that as well. And that's it. So that is a quick overview of DJ Event Planner setup application settings. Again, if you're watching this video and you've not signed up for a trial yet, make sure you head over to djeventplanner.com and click on the free trial button to get started. It's a 30-day free trial, no payment information required. Everything that you put in your system during your trial will be there when you subscribe. So use that trial to get the system set up and figure out how it works and make it work for you before you start paying. So it's pretty awesome. If you ever have any questions, again, you can find support underneath support options in the left menu of your account. We have live chat as well as the getting started guide. If you haven't gone through that yet, I highly encourage you to do so, and the support forum, as well as our YouTube channel. And then, of course, there is a user-to-user group on Facebook. So if you head to Facebook, search up DJ Event Planner Users, make sure to join that group. That's another great spot to ask quick questions and see what others are doing. With that said, we'll see you guys on the next video in the Getting Started series, and happy planning.